So we got the full quorum. Let me call the committee to order. Okay, so this is 8:08 p.m. Tuesday, November 25th. Special committee meeting for Advisory Committee on Sustainability, Darien. So I am calling the committee to order. Okay, we can begin. And the first topic of the agenda is public comment. Do we have anyone who wants to make any public comment? So, Caroline, you're the only public at this point because you don't want to be in the committee. You want to make a comment.
No comment.
Okay, all right. So we're going to move on. The second topic is really all around about the approved previous meeting minutes.
Oh,
yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on one second. So we're gonna go back to the meeting minutes of, what was it, November 12th, right? Yeah. Okay,
Yep,
Cliff,
that's correct.
looks like Cliff made edits. Sorry, it's not opening. Here we go. Okay. Can you guys see this okay?
Yep, you can see it. Yep.
You can? Okay. Okay, Cliff, do you know, do you want to talk about anything you made the comment, the changes on? Do you remember?
I don't really remember. I do think that there was an issue about the prior minutes having been posted as a draft before we made amendments to them. And I think that I incorporated into this a reference to the revised, instead of going through all the details, just saying it was approved as revised and attached, so that you would attach the revised minutes from the prior meeting to these minutes.
I didn't submit the draft. I'm just not submitting draft minutes anymore. I'm only going to submit the final.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the last time, not for this meeting, but the meeting before it, you did submit a draft. And when we made the approval that is indicated in these minutes, we did the approval of the amended minutes, not the ones you submitted. And so I suggested that you simply refer to that here and attach the revised minutes from the prior meeting.
So that's the 1-2B, right? It says approved revised minutes for October 8th. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We just need to attach those and then submit it. That's it, Lauren. That's
it. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So that's.
Do you see where it says in B, see attached?
I see. Yep.
So we need to attach them when you submit this.
Sure. That's easy. Okay. Yep. Okay. Everything else looks okay. So I'll make a motion to approve these minutes as amended by Cliff.
I'll second that emotion.
Yep. Good.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me just. All in favor?
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'll fix this up later. Okay. Great. Mohan, can we move on to the press release?
Yes, we can move on to the press release. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So I'll send this out to you guys. It's not done. It's not done yet because I still need to do like a caption for the picture and stuff and move some things around. But you're welcome to come in here and do that, as I've kind of been slacking after I threw the picture in here yesterday. So we can go through, and I just basically took the sustainable CT wording. I don't know if that's the right place for the picture. This is the quote from John Zagrodzky. And then there was a quote from Mohan somewhere. Mohan, did we put your quote in here? Jessica Leclerc. So we have me, take it or leave it, Jessica Leclerc, and did I put Mohan's in here? Here, yeah, said Mohan. Okay, great. So that's about it. It just needs like one or two little fine tuning, one or
So
two
I was
little
going to say
things.
just that if you go to the bottom, I think that just maybe the final tweak there is if you move up my code to above the last line, I think last line talks about sustainable city has all the right. So yeah, you just move it up so that way the quotes are all at just move up to like two small paragraphs and that should be it. Because yeah.
Mohan's quote should probably be after John's, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought I put it at the end because I just wanted it to like sum up everything. I don't know how to end this article. I don't.
Well, send it to us and we can take a look at it.
Yeah, guys, just go in and move things around. You don't need my approval. I don't, like I said, this is.
So let's set some time limit. So if can we get just whatever changes, can we make it by end of the day tomorrow? So that Lauren, what's the next step here?
Well, I think we can give ourselves the week.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able
week,
to look
okay.
at it until this weekend.
Okay, that's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, and town hall will be closed on Thursday.
Anyway,
and Friday
okay,
too,
that's fine.
so.
Yeah.
But I guess the next steps, Mohan, to answer your question. So, okay, so let's give ourselves the weekend. Let's get this done by Sunday.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Like final form, by Sunday. And then I guess I'll reach out to, when we have that final draft, I'll send that to Marley.
Okay.
And see what she says to do with it. Sound good?
Okay. Yep, that's great. Yep, we can finish up any edits by Sunday evening, and when we'll confirm back one way or the other. You can reach out with whatever we have there Monday to Marley, and then go from there. Wonderful.
So when this was sent around, I raised some questions that I cannot answer. Specifically, I think it was in the boilerplate, as I recall, coming from Sustainable CT, saying that some things had been done that I wasn't at all sure had been done. But since I wasn't all that close to this, I couldn't say for sure.
So
Are
I
we
think
really?
I made some wording changes to that based on your commentary, Cliff.
Oh, good.
We
Okay.
can take a look. I made sure that something which is not current, potentially it's aspirational kind of thing. You can take a look. Yeah.
Well, if you all I'm saying is if you say it's correct, that's
Yeah.
fine. I wouldn't know, but I did
Yeah,
not think it was.
I made the changes to what he said. Yeah. Because
Excellent.
I
Okay.
agreed what he said. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm putting the link to this document in our browser.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. I'm so tired. In our chat.
Okay.
Yes, I got it.
That's I'm on a phone. Can you email it?
Yeah.
You can send
Thank
it.
you.
Send it via email as well.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Back to you, Mohan. I think.
Okay. Right. So the next question we had was not next question. The next topic we wanted to talk about was around taking each sections and go to a little deep dive. Now I know that two of you are. I think Suman, she's on a phone. I think she's traveling. If you are on a phone, my question is: do we still want to continue to do that? Do you have are you guys comfortable with it, or do you need more engagement? Just want to make sure.
So, and I asked Carolyn. So
Yeah.
let me go back and share my screen. You guys that are on the phones, could you see my screen okay when you were
It's pretty small. It's pretty small.
Okay.
Suman,
Okay.
when you say take a deep dive, my thought was that we were going to try to move quickly through all of these action steps, identifying actions arising.
So here's what we were going to do. We're going to go through each one, kind of summarize it, and then say, what we think we should do going forward. Like,
Yep.
So for example, like I just threw some notes in here. Like I just said, for my topic number 2, Carolyn would be today, right? And she would go through and she would say, okay, these are the things that we needed when we entered this. These are the things we had. These are the things we didn't have. In the future, this is what I think we should do. Maybe in a few weeks, we meet with these people, or in a month, or in a year, whatever it is. And that's kind of like the plan for the future. And that was it. And then it would be me next. I didn't change the dates on here because I didn't know what the dates should be. So that was the idea. So Carolyn's the first topic. Carolyn, are you still game to talk about this a little bit, or do you want to, what do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really sure so you had asked me to prepare for the first one, optimize for equity. I can share my thoughts on it. I can just give a little, overview on what we did. Is that what you want me to do right now?
Go for it.
Yeah, if everybody
Okay.
else, yeah.
So the optimize for equity is the one section that absolutely, without it, there's not an application. It's required for like this, for silver certification, you have to complete the equity toolkit for at least 3 of the sustainable CT actions, and for the gold, you have to complete it for at least 4. Just to give a little historical perspective, with our first application, when we achieved bronze certification, we applied for and got credit for 2 equity toolkits. And in 2022, when we applied and achieved silver, we submitted 4 and got credit for 4. For this most recent application, we completed 4 and got credit for 3. This is, as I understand, this was the first year that I really focused on this section. It had always, there was another committee member who was sort of for lack of a better term, the project manager for the application. And she was the one who always focused on this action item. And Cliff also completed toolkits both in 2019 and in 2022. So the optimize for equity is really sort of encouraging decisions to be made collectively about specific sustainable CT actions. And from ideally, what they would like you to do is to choose an action that you would like to implement, engage members of the community to discuss it, and get their input on how, like, what changes, what should be incorporated into completing that action. That, for us, has not ever really worked. We have never really done it that way. We have, rather than taking a new action and completing it, we've looked at actions that we've completed and looked at, like, where there may have been disparities, like, are there members of the community who cannot, who are not able to participate, who are not able to, for whom that sustainable CT application does not work for them. So for example, in 2019, Cliff completed the toolkit for the farmers market and determined that there were seniors who were not able to partake of the farmers market because they didn't have transportation. So he worked with At Home in Darien, which a town affiliated, but not a town organization that provides transportation to seniors. So that was how we did it that year. Another example that we did in 2019 is we have the swap shop, and there are some people, so in order to access the swap shop, you have to have a dump permit, and which costs something. And so there are members of the community for whom that is not possible. So the person who completed this equity toolkit worked with human resources to identify those families in need who are not, for whom paying $150 a year for a, excuse me, sorry, for a dump sticker isn't feasible. And she was able to provide free courtesy dump stickers to those families. So that's how we addressed it, the 2 equity toolkits that time. This year, we were able to piggy bank off another one that Cliff did in 2022 because it had been done subsequent to January of 2022. So we were able to get credit for that one. It just needed to be updated, which I did. And Cliff physically went and made sure that like the flyers were where they were supposed to be and so on and so forth. So we were able to get credit for one that we did in 2022. The second one that we did for this most recent application is one that Amanda did, and I'm sorry she's not here to discuss it because she did an absolutely fantastic, she put so much work into this, and it had to do with an at-risk population of high school students, and that came about as a result of the Darien Thriving Youth Survey and what actions were taken with regard to identifying this at-risk population. And the tie, the tie into that is that a lot of the actions have been taken by the Darien Depot, which again is not a town organization per se, but the connection there is that the town awards a grant to the depot on an annual basis. It's in the town budget every year. The third one that we did is regarding the swap shop as well. And we just anecdotally over the years, seniors, a number of people have commented that they don't utilize the swap shop because of, the parking is a bit chaotic and it's crowded. Every time it's open, it's very crowded. And so we surmised that there were possibly one of the populations of people who might not be using the swap shop as much as they might want to are seniors. And again, we partnered with At Home in Darien, who did a fantastic job of helping us distribute a survey to all seniors that are on their list. As a result of that, we now have one day a month where only seniors can access the swap shop. They do have to register through At Home in Darien, and if they need transportation, they can arrange that with At Home in Darien. And so far, we have had 3 senior days at the swap shop, and it's been a small number of people so far, but we do think that that it will grow as word spreads about it. And also the people who have participated have been very appreciative of being able to have this time where it's quiet when they come in. They have no issues parking and they can spend as much time as they want there. And there are volunteers there to help answer their questions, anything to do with the swap shop or recycling. So we do think that that's been a success. So we did get credit for those 3 toolkits that were completed. So going forward, I think it might be better to start sort of from the beginning, the way Sustainable CT wants us to, which is to work with a population of residents in completing an action. And so, for example, I made a list of I just made a quick list of some of the things that might lend itself to it. But one of them was like 4.2.10, support arts and cultural activities, like engage community members to offer programs that are reflective of their interests. That's a super easy one to do, I think. We could work with the library, for example. They provide so many programs, and I'm sure that they have there's a way that they decide, probably based on on attendance, like what programs are successful and what programs aren't successful. But we could formalize it a little bit more by having maybe a survey or a discussion with, frequent participants to some of these events to see like what kinds of events would they like to see. And that would be bringing in that community engagement in the decision-making process, which is kind of the goal of this equity toolkit. I mean, if you go down the list of, all of the sustainable CT actions, I mean, some of them are just like so easy, like, the sustainability events. An equity toolkit can derive from any event that is listed under 8.1, the sustainability events. And that's where Amanda derived her toolkit. So I think going forward, we just really need to familiarize ourselves with all aspects of the application, all of the actions, and just try to think like, where can we work with, where can we work, either with other organizations in town departments, or even other local other neighboring communities to complete one of the actions. So, I think we've always kind of done, like I said, done this one sort of at the end, and it's been a little bit hairy, but I think going forward, we should be able to have no problem in completing several of these toolkits. So I hope that was helpful.
I think it's really very helpful because I think it points out that this is a major distraction for us.
Yes.
This is not the kind of thing we would normally be doing. There have not been major benefits reaped from this. These are activities that normally would be the senior center at home in Darien and social services. And yes, I agree with you. If you want to spend our time to get ready for another application, let's do it. I say I would rather back into it the way we've done it the last 3 years if there's going to be another application. But I mean, my understanding of what we're doing here is trying to have lessons learned.
Yeah.
Have there been real benefits derived from this action? I would say no, very minimal. Was it a significant use of our time? Yes, it was. Does it point to something that we can do to improve sustainability in Darien? I would say no, it doesn't.
So Cliff,
Yeah,
let's
that's
chat
fair.
about that for a second. So if you were to speak to the spirit of this, not to the exercise itself, right? Documenting and submitting, yeah, sure, that's fine. We get the certification, great. I think if you look at the spirit of this particular action item, it says, right, so I think that's what we're trying to capture here. If we were to do this properly, where we identify an action item, work with the communities and benefit them, right? To me, that's really tangible. And then outcome of that is documenting and submitting to sustainable city. It's secondary. Could we use that avenue and say, we are going to identify sustainable action, which can be driven by the framework offered by sustainable city within the town, and then maybe engage with the town's people and then make it happen. Does that add value in your view?
It can.
So I think that is the best approach in a way. Really, I think what you're saying is let's look at the sustainable actions that we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as we look at those actions, let's consider applying the toolkit to it. I think that does make sense. But this in and of itself, to me, does not.
Right. Just documenting, sure, but again, I think as Caroline was saying, looks like in the previous years, the team did do certain things which added value for senior citizens, for example, a
No, they
desktop
didn't.
shop, etc. No,
Mohan,
did not.
they
No?
really didn't. That was make work. It was created. It was created for the application. We never would have done it if it hadn't been for the application.
That you're referring to the cultural events toolkit, Cliff. But I do think that the senior day at the swap shop potentially has a lot of value for seniors, because there are people who have been coming who normally would not go because it's too chaotic for them. So it's like I said, it hasn't really, we haven't been inundated with people who fit that profile, but I do think that as time goes on and word spreads, I do think for the few people who have participated, I think it has added value.
But Caroline, when you consider the amount of time and effort going into these things, if we directed them to something more significant, I think we'd be much better off. I know the one about going to the garden center, nobody ever went, as far as I can tell. Maybe one person.
Oh, to the farmers
if we get,
market, you mean?
yeah, as an example. But I mean, if we get 3 or 4 people, is it once a month?
Yeah, it's once a month.
Okay, 3 or 4 people once a month. I mean, that's negligible, really. And we have to deal with leaf blowers, and we have to deal with food scraps, and we have some important stuff to do.
No,
Yeah,
that's
but
fine.
I mean, in fairness,
Yeah.
I think that the people who are participating in the swap shop are not the same people who are going to be working on the leaf blower issue. I think,
No, but it's us. It's us. It's your time.
But it's done.
We have 3 years. We have 3 years, right? So in theory, we could find somebody that's doing something meaningful, right? So, okay, so if this is for the library, let's just say Carolyn had the example of the library, or At Home in Darien, they could help us do a survey and get something meaningful for them. Like, it doesn't have to be, or we could make a suggestion, right? I mean, I think that there's a way to do it so that it does add value and add meaning. It's, that we're not just going back and just documenting stuff for the sake of documenting. Right.
Well, even worse, we're doing things that we wouldn't even be doing.
Yeah, but I don't, again, I mean, I think, with regard to the senior day at the swap shop, I wouldn't say that we're doing things that we wouldn't normally be doing, because there are people who on those days would normally be there. Doing other things. There are off-hour activities that people do to cull and straighten and organize, and that's being done concurrent with the seniors visiting. So it's not an addition of time and hours and volunteers. It's sort of concurrent with that. So I think I think this is a good one. I really do. Like I said, pardon?
Sorry.
Oh, no, I mean, like I said, I think, it's gotten off to a bit of a slow start, but I think for the people who have participated, it's been meaningful. And I think, like, that's sort of the point of this is that, this fulfills a need there was a disparity there, and this addresses that. And I think that's kind of that's the spirit of, maybe it's not the most impactful, but I think it gets the ball going in the right direction. Like it's the correct exercise. It's just maybe not the magnitude that you're hoping for.
Were the surveys that went out about like Great Island and like environmental impacts and things like that, like those are surveys getting feedback from the community? Did we use?
We got credit for I don't know about the survey, but we got credit. Now why wouldn't that have fit?
It seems like survey, like anything where you go out and survey the residents, right, of the town for, something sustainability related, right, whether it be environmental, social, whatever. It's, for equity. Could an environmental topic fit into that? And if so, would we be more interested, and would it add more value if we could do something like that?
So, I'm going to recommend, honestly, this is a great conversation. We have done some things in the past. The magnitude of the impact may not be as much we expected, which is a lesson learned, right? I think that's where, Cliff, I think you are going. What is the lesson learned here? We have done some things just for supporting the documentation of the whatever, which you're looking back to say, here is what we have done, we can take credit for. And then in some years, we have done things where, well, we need to do this so that we can get credit for. But I think we are also now realizing maybe there is not a whole lot of value we have derived in some cases. Now, that brings an interesting question, right? If you believe in, irrespective of the sustainable CT certification, if you believe in the equity toolkit's intent and say, maybe there are topics we can identify and then say, we can decide as a committee, look, that's impactful, we want to work on it. That's not going to be impactful, it doesn't make any sense, does not move the needle. Maybe we need to pick, if you pick the topics, we need to have a measurable thing, metric going in as a committee and say, these are the topics I think which makes the most value, let's work on it. If it doesn't, let's reprioritize those, right? I think we are all on the same page in terms of it makes sense to work for the benefit of the community truly versus doing it just for the documentation. So
and I agree with that, but it takes time. And I mean,
yeah, sure, yeah, right,
yeah. I mean, Sustainable CT
absolutely,
recommends that you start this 3 to 9 months prior to submitting the application. I mean,
no, Carolyn, I would even say we should not, honestly, I would not focus on the application at this point. I would use it as a guidepost to say, look, these are the good things to do from sustainability perspective. And we here is a framework we can apply. We don't even need to wait for 3 to 9 months. If we can start thinking about the topics now and document them as a committee, we can start talking about them and say, does it make sense? Does it add value? Are we wasting our time? Wasting our time? Get rid of it. If it adds value to the community and to ourselves, enrich at least, then I'd say that's something we want to work on, right? I think we can do it as an ongoing basis versus waiting for the last 3 to 9 months. That doing that, it becomes a little bit of doing for the sake of certification that I don't think I have fundamental disagreement. I think some of us have too, right? Saying we should not be doing for the certification. Do it because it's the right thing to do. Yeah.
right.
So I think I'm in agreement with pretty much everything you're saying, but I would tend to say, for example, the swap shop thing, that wasn't a sustainability committee thing to be doing. That was a swap shop thing to be doing. And mention of a library thing, that's a library thing to be doing, not a sustainability committee. But what maybe we can do, and I think this is the spirit of this sustainability thing, is we can encourage people in the swap shop and encourage people in the library when they're doing surveys to take into account the different groups in our town and try to make sure they're being equitable. If that might be
that's an approach.
That's a positive takeaway.
That's an approach. Yeah, that's awesome.
You're getting it. Yes.
So there are things we can do, but we are resource constrained, 5 people, 4 people, right? We can also influence others. We can be catalysts to say, here is something you can incorporate. Again, those are the things I think as part of this equity toolkit that can truly become very valuable. Yes, for certification, but in truly how we use it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cliff, that makes sense, partnering with these different organizations so that we don't operate in a silo, right?
But I mean, we always have. I mean, I would say, the toolkits that we've completed have been done with the assistance and cooperation of, some of these groups like At Home and Darien and, Department of Human Services. What I was going to say is just like the best way I think to think about it is that action should be taken not from top down, but more from like bottom up. That's kind of what they want you to do. Like, it doesn't even always have to be the town. It's just the town has to have, like, because we mentioned the library. I mean, the connection there is that the town pays the operating expenses of the library. So there is a very direct connection between the town and the library. So, I mean, we benefit a lot on this application from anything that the library does. So, and they do, Sustainable CT does encourage those kind of collaborations because they realize that not everything can be done by a sustainability committee or by, town departments, but it's in partnering with these other organizations that, you can get a lot more accomplished. So, but the whole point is for actions to be completed by taking into consideration input from community members or people who are working in the community too. That's a whole population of people we've never even discussed. But I mean, it's not just residents, but it's also people working in the community. And as Darien grows, I mean, we have more and more businesses, more and more people commuting to Darien to work here. So that may be another, a whole population that we can tap into.
So Carolyn, and I guess everyone, does it make sense to have a couple of ongoing meetings with some of these? Because once we start to, let's just say we have ongoing meetings with the library and At Home in Darien, or like we pick a couple of groups that we think would make the most impact to partner with them kind of across the board. I think the libraries is a given, right? But there's other groups too that it makes sense. And we can go through the different topics with them. They understand what we do. We understand what they do. But then there's people that they might be members of other boards and other organizations. And then we can start to branch out. And then, we can kind of start to put things together like that if we develop those partnerships. I think they want to know what we're doing. I think they see, us or they haven't heard of us, but we want them to know what we're doing too, right? So does that make sense?
I mean, from my perspective, I think it makes more sense to meet with those people when we have an idea for something or an idea that we want to explore. I mean, they're super busy, and like I want to say this the right way. I mean, it would be wonderful if we could have someone from these different organizations come and sit in on our meetings, periodically. I just don't think they have time. I think they're super busy. I think if we have an idea,
their meetings. Right. I think we sit in on their meetings. We don't take up more time.
I said from the very beginning, I think that this committee going forward for this application, I think we need to model ourselves on like the RTM. I think there needs to be subcommittees or a person who, like, I'm interested in like waste management, like, like I keep on top of like everything that's going on in recycling and the swap shop and that kind of thing. I think, for someone who's interested in zoning, yes, I think that person should, be, watchful of what's going on with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and, maybe watching the Board of Selectmen meetings, or at least looking at the agenda for some of these meetings to see what's on it, to see if there's anything of relevant that, to the application that, they might want to follow up on. Yeah, no, I definitely, but I think in terms of meeting with people, I think once we have an idea for something, as we did with, At Home in Darien, then I think, then it absolutely makes sense to meet with them.
Well, do you think that they would be interested in what their part of Sustainable CT is?
You'd have to ask them. I mean,
so I was going to say, Lauren, I was just going to say, maybe we should not even bring up Sustainable CT really, because this is.
But they want to know what it is.
No. Okay, so we can explain that. All I'm saying, we can explain what Sustainable CT is, but our prerogative should not be we're doing it for Sustainable CT. We are doing it because it is a sustainable action and the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Here is one of the things we would like to do, right? Once we have the ideas, as Caroline was saying, if we can put 1, 2, or 3 ideas in that spreadsheet, okay, here is the idea. Now, here is how we want to achieve some equitable thing in the town. We put it there, and then we can say, who are the partners we need, right? That's the next level. And then say, okay, here are the partners we want to talk to, irrespective of Sustainable City application. Here is an outcome we want to achieve for the benefit of the community, and then go from there. Sustainable City, to me, it's just an outcome of that. We will derive the secondary benefit. Yeah. So the ideas are important. Now, if we can put all those few ideas, then we can drive those through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, what their driving force behind their motivation is going to be. It could help to add that it's, by the way, it's part of the Sustainable City application, right?
Yeah, sure.
Certainly.
We can also say that, it also helps with Sustainable City. That's great. Yeah. But
I mean, as a matter of fact, the library,
they want to get the certification too. They want to get sustainable libraries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean,
sure.
And and I would say, just having worked on this application 3 times now, the people in town and or local organizations like the library, like At Home in Darien, like the chamber, and so on and so on, those people have been, like, I would say for the most part, like, they've bent over backwards to help us. Like, they've been very interested and very invested in our success in getting this certification. So, yeah, so I would say that's what, I mean, what's in it for them? I mean, it's good for the town.
I mean, that's all we should drive. It's good for the town, good thing to do. We are the Sustainability Committee. We would like to seek feedback from people on this particular topic so that we can create this, whatever the outcome it is. If we drive from that angle, yes, it will come through. So I think right now, the most important thing, this is great. Thank you, Caroline, for going through. This is very eye-opening, right? Because we haven't worked, all of us haven't worked on it. So it's really going back to the first principles from the certification. Identify the topic, what is important to the community, listen to the community, use them as a force and bring the change. And then the question, there it goes, the question is maybe from the upfront, we need to understand what is the impact we're trying to derive from. As Cliff said, we spend all this time, we put some resources, not even our time, town resources to it. And if it's not yielding results, to me, that's not a failure. It's really a learning, which we should take and say, okay, what did we learn from there? And how do we better for it? How do we measure for the future? So at least, yeah, if we have a few topics, we should keep going. So my question is, how do we get to these topics?
Well, that's where I think, like I was saying, I think each committee member kind of needs to identify what their area of interest is. And then that person needs to kind of focus on anything in town. Like, I mean, just as an example, the town newsletter is rife with all kinds of great information. I mean, like when I was working on this application, I literally went back the last 3 years and perused every newsletter for the past 3 years. And that's how I got a lot of information. But it would have been so much easier had I, if someone knew that they were, interested in this area, and then anything on the town newsletter that came up, they could document it right then and there. So,
well, it's really up to each of the committee member and others really to provide these topics. This is what we're saying, which makes perfect sense. All of us here, if we think there is a topic of interest we need to work on, I think we should really put it there and really work on it. Right?
This reminds me a little bit of one of the actions that we'll get to at some point, I guess, of getting the town's purchasing policies to incorporate sustainability. What we are talking about is getting all the activities in the town to focus on equity.
Yeah.
That's what we're really talking about, getting everybody to think about equity in whatever they're doing. And
sustainability,
That's a big job. That's a huge job. I don't know how you communicate it to everybody and get them all involved. I mean, I'm interested in planning and zoning, for example. I listen to a lot of their meetings. Mm-hmm. The number of and hours of that stuff, and the number of times that it's relevant to us and the equity toolkit is one time.
I mean, that's fine. Again, if that's the one thing, the question I have is, Cliff, is it actionable, first of all, right? If it's actionable, is that something impactful we can pursue? But if not, then that's not the right thing to do, because there are other things on the equity toolkit which may drive some other action items and see if there is value add we can bring on. Not necessarily from the equity toolkit perspective, right?
I think you've covered it all at this point. I think it's at least pretty clear to me where we are. And can we try to do a little bit on the next action?
It's already 8:52.
Okay.
I mean, I think.
Okay. We hit the hardest one. I think the other ones should be easier than this one.
Yeah. This one is hard.
Yeah. So the next one is about the businesses, but also Cliff, your procurement policy, and some things. I think one thing we didn't do was in Carolyn's was the things that we didn't get points for, like, if we were to adopt a statement on equity, like, I don't know if we did that and got points for it, or we weren't able to get points for it. Maybe we could get points next time.
Actually, that's a great point, because if we could get the town to adopt a statement about equity, that would go across the whole town. That would do exactly what we're
Right.
talking about.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think, if I remember correctly, I don't have it up right now, but I think in order to apply for gold certification, I believe that is something the town has to do.
Oh,
Well, I think the problem has been the town just hasn't been interested in doing things like that in the past.
well, once John heard about that money, I think maybe he's a little more, who knows?
Right. Right. The towns who, I don't know if these guys know, but the towns who achieved gold certification were awarded, what was it, Lauren, like $1,500? No,
$1,000, I think.
$15,000.
No, it was 15,000.
15,000, right, right.
Yeah. So
I don't think that's going to get John out of bed.
no, but it's just, it's just another
Yeah,
little,
it's something.
but
It's in a budget like this budget of our town. That's a rounding error.
I mean, if you could go to them and show that there's no downside for things like this, like, hey, look,
Yeah,
like,
no,
there's nothing that's going to be a negative if we adopt this statement on equity, guys. Look, win, 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 win. It's not going to make you look bad. It's not going to hurt the reputation. It's not going to do it. Plus, we got eligible for gold. What's the drawback here? Let's just do it, and maybe somebody will listen. I don't know.
It's something they should do. It absolutely is something they should do, and maybe we can lead them to do that. So that would be a great takeaway from this action point of something to do going forward, trying to convince the Board of Selectmen to adopt an equity statement that would then go across the whole government.
And I think the procurement one. So we can talk about that one next time if that's okay with you guys. Just because.
Yeah, we can talk about it next time.
I'm
We're
sleepy.
almost at the
Yeah.
it's 9 o'clock and almost done.
But I think we're not going to talk about leaf blowers, right, Mohan?
No, we're not going to talk about it because again, we are out of time. That's okay. It's on the agenda because
Did you make
you wanted
notes?
to talk about it.
Are these-
I mean, I thought this meeting was only going to be on 2 actions, and our
Just,
main meeting in person will cover leaf blowers and food
Yep.
scraps.
Yeah.
I had it there just in case we run through it. At least we can take a check, whatever. So let's see what else. I think that was all.
How did this work? This note taker sent all of the action items. Was that you or was that somebody else?
It's the integrated AI agent.
This blows my mind, by the way, because they're correct with most of these action items. So it's pretty cool. Anyway,
there you go.
I will send
There you go.
them.
You can-
I was
you
just going to
can use it.
recap action items, but the AI did it for me. So
Yes,
my
you
head
can
is
just use it. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, I know that it's yeah. Just so that Carolyn and Lauren, I was able to create an Instagram account and link the Facebook, but there is some
you
quirks to
were?
it. Yeah, I was able to link them, but there is the thing about to be able to reflect one post in another, the Instagram post have to be from a mobile device. So that's something which is a limitation looks like, but we can work on it.
Wait, I'm sorry. So you have to post to Instagram
Facebook or Instagram and a mobile device.
from your phone, and it'll go to but just
It will
one,
go to both.
right?
It'll correct. If you do from the computer, it may not reflect. It won't reflect. That's
fine. Can you teach us how to do it at the next meeting? Can you teach us?
Not next meeting. Can 3 of us, if you guys have time this weekend, or otherwise we can just have a quick chat. Yeah.
Sunday, I could do it Sunday.
Sunday,
Saturday.
awesome. Let's do
Sunday's
Sunday then.
fine.
Sunday, all right.
Yeah.
We'll get it over the phone. Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
Awesome.
wonderful.
Good work,
That's great.
Mohan.
No worries. Excellent. Okay. All right. Thank you all. So it's 8:57, and I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right. Awesome. Have
Happy
a lovely
Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving,
everyone.
everyone.